I remember when I first saw, when Marvel released the concept art for this, and they put one of the pictures of the Five Guardians in Empire magazine, and I remember looking at it going, it just looks nuts. This looks absolutely nuts, and that got me really, really excited. And what also got me really excited was researching this movie and going through the Wikipedia page for Guardians of the Galaxy. There's a tiny photo of me interviewing Karen Gillan at the premiere in Leicester Square there. In Leicester Square, just me, very small, very small. Could have made it bigger. In terms of casting this movie, a lot of people auditioned for the role of Peter Quill. Joel Edgerton, Jack Houston, Jim Sturgis, and Eddie Redmayne, as well as Lee Pace.
Eddie Redmayne.
I can't imagine it.
Makes me feel sick.
Not everything, just because he did Jupiter Ascending.
Don't you have an impression?
I'm Baron Greenback.
Very good.
My mother taught me what was necessary to rule in this universe.
Like killing people?
I create life!
But Chris Pratt auditioned, and James Gunn says of this, he wanted him, and Marvel were ballsy enough to back me when I wanted to hire him. I love them forever for going with me on that. No other studio in the world would have ever taken that risk. He also says he's worked on independent movies where he's felt under more pressure to cast a big name than he had on this film.
So it's interesting. I think I've got a quote from James Gunn from when I was on the set. This is what he said about that casting. He said, I didn't want to see Chris because I didn't think he was the right for the role. I knew him a little bit from Moneyball, and I knew him as the chunky guy from Parks and Recreation. Then finally I agreed to see him. He came in and he was probably at his chunkiest. He'd gained a lot of weight for a Vince Vaughn movie, but he read, and 20 seconds into it, I knew he was the guy. Chris brought his own personality to this character that really fit the words perfectly.
See, no, that's just an expression for slicing his throat.
I would not slice his throat. I would cut his head clean off.
Okay, yeah, I think you want to cut. You can do that.
Cut his head clean off.
You bet, Nate.
No slicing.
Bite it off. I can't wait to see what the point is.
Everyone else, I thought, would kind of get run over by Robert Downey Jr. if they were ever in a movie together. To have somebody who could inhabit the role in the same way, who could take... I think that Chris could completely hold his own and exchange barbs with him and then kick his ass. And so that's come to be.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely true.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes, I like your plan, except it sucks, so let me do the plan, and that way it might be really good.
A brilliant title sequence. Dancing to Redbone's Come and Get Your Love. According to James Gunn, they were going to use Hooked on a Feeling for this scene until he found Come and Get Your Love, and he said it worked a lot better. And this sequence, I just remember seeing it and going, what am I watching? This is new.
Yeah, exactly. It's that feeling that, and it's to connect all this crazy universe, which is obviously really hard to like get a handle on, to Earth via music and via the Walkman is a brilliant idea. And so for the first time I saw it, I was like, I'm all in. This is a brilliant way to do this. And second time round, because you know what to expect, you just have a good time.
It eases you into the film's tonal shifts as well, which happen all through the movie. And it sort of introduces you to this mixture of ancient and futuristic technology and vistas. And also, you know, having seen it in the cinema twice, it gets such a big laugh.
Yeah.
Him dancing around to that, people are pissing themselves. It's really, really funny.
And picking up the tiny little rat lizard and singing into it is an inspired moment. It's really good.
Pratt was saying he absolutely hates the music in this film because this is because he decided that he wanted to put himself in Peter Quill's place. So Peter Quill only has these songs to listen to. So for the duration of the shoot, Chris Pratt only listened to the songs that are on Peter Quill's Walkman, and it said it just destroyed his brain.
No, it's a nice way to spend your time.
You're an imbecile.
Then we meet the rest of the Guardians on Xandar. So, we meet Gamora, daughter of Thanos. She's trying to get the orb. Then we meet Rocket, who is the greatest character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I knew that you would have a soft spot for him.
I love him.
Is it because he's taking the piss out of a baby when you first meet him? That is really funny, though.
What is this thing? Look how it thinks it's so cool. It's not cool to get help. Walk by yourself, you little gargoyle.
He doesn't like babies.
No. Well, it's about small things, isn't it? Like,
call Stanley a prevert. I'm a huge fan of Rocket, and I will argue that the greatest relationship on screen in this film is Rocket and Groot.
I don't disagree with you. A large portion of the emotional weight is carried by two CGI characters. Yeah. That's amazing.
And then losing Groot later, it transfers onto Drax as well. I think you start seeing that between Drax and Rocket when Groot is gone, which is really moving as well. But we see Rocket's scars.
Which is really effective. The bit where, and again, music plays such a big part, and it's the song that's playing over it. But when you see his shaved back and like the genetic enhancements, and Peter Quill just sort of looks at him, and it's really powerful. We also get, because it's a prison, there's always the big daddy in the prison, and we get that alien who goes,
Check out the new meat. I'm gonna slather you up in Navi and jelly. Go to town.
Yeah, so that's Nathan Fillion, who's in all of James Gunn's movies. And there's also a cameo in this scene. One of the prisoners, a human, is Lloyd Kaufman of Troma fame. He made The Toxic Avenger. He produced all those movies. And Lloyd Kaufman paid James Gunn $150 to write Romeo and Juliet, which was James Gunn's first gig in Hollywood. And he said he learned everything he knows about filmmaking from Lloyd and Troma, and so paid it back.
Benicio del Toro turns up, Benicio del Toroing over everything.
Yes.
So good as the collector.
It works better here than it did in Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't know. It's fine. I didn't love it that much.
No, I didn't either.
I don't know. Yeah, I like the way he looked, like his hair and his weirdness and whatever. But
I quite like him.
You didn't need to ham it up as much as he did. So the collector thinks of himself as Noah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, collecting everything all across the universe so that it doesn't disappear. But he's just doing it in a more violent way than Noah was.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned The Last Jedi. Because I think this movie, one of the problems with The Last Jedi is that this film exists and someone somewhere was too influenced by whether it was the fact they love this movie or the success this movie had. Humor from Guardians of the Galaxy filtered into the Star Wars universe where it fucking didn't belong. Like that whole opening sequence on The Last Jedi where Donald Gleason's character is talking to Oscar Isaac's character and they do that joke like, can he hear me? Why can't he hear me? He's like, sorry, what did you say? I'm like, great, that's funny. If it was Peter Quill in Guardians of the Galaxy, get that out of Star Wars. It shouldn't be there.
Agreed.
Drax is called Ronan down and nearly killed everyone. Rocket's and Drax is talking about his dead wife and his dead child. And Rocket actually goes, boo hoo hoo, my wife and child. Everybody's got dead people. It doesn't give you the excuse to get everybody else dead too. Fucking brilliant. Like, you can't, it's like Groot's face when he's like, what? Such a good line. And then we get more emotion. This is where I got a bit tearful when Quill rescues Gamora out in space and you think he's going to die.
It's beautiful.
They don't quite seem like a couple that should be together. Like, I get it. But so then he rescues her and then they, like as they do throughout this whole script, serious moment, undercut it in the nicest possible way with comedy. So that's fine.
And they don't get together.
Yeah. No, because but you don't, when they're on the floor together, you like, as a rom-com fan, I'm not like, oh my God, they're gonna kiss. I was just like, oh, okay, cool. So
you mean the bit where they're back inside and he goes, I found something inside myself.
Yeah.
But I couldn't let you die. I found something inside of myself. Something incredibly heroic. I mean, not to brag, but objectively.
Where's the orb?
And she's like, right, fine, fuck this. Which is, it's really funny, but I didn't feel like, oh, that was my kiss and I'm cheated from that kiss and I can't wait to see that later. It just wasn't really.
And we haven't mentioned Michael Rooker as Yondu, who is fucking fantastic and even better, his character and what happens in Volume 2 and his funeral. Spoiler, sorry. But finally getting to see his arrow in action because we've seen it teased like about 3 times.
I do love that
far.
scene. It's so much fun. But are those people just waiting to get a magic arrow through the head? It's fucking brilliant. And he does the whistle. But there is quite a long time for them to just go, oh, I'm just going to duck my head and then...
I might shoot you.
Yeah, I probably should shoot you with this massive gun I've got.
Well, once I've seen the arrow go through the guy at the front...
And the 10 more.
I'm at the back... And he's got a few guys to go through with that arrow. I could raise my gun and shoot at him.
Yeah.
Which would probably stop me dying.
But that's the thing with this film. That is, the logic doesn't make any sense. But I would watch that scene again because it's brilliant.
It seems to be based on him whistling. So if I shoot him, he won't be able to whistle.
He's got a great whistle on him. Yeah.
Yeah, Gunn says that's his Sergio Leone spaghetti western scene. And the music there is interesting. And actually, the music's interesting for the whole film. Tyler Bates does the score. And then obviously you've got this very famous soundtrack. And you don't normally get this luxury on movies, but the score was written in advance. The songs were picked out in advance. And all of them were being played played in the scenes they were going to feature. So all the actors had the score playing behind them while they were shooting the scenes, which is what Leone and Morricone used to do. Two unsung heroes you already mentioned. I just want to shout out to Sean Gunn. Watching him walk on his haunches playing Rocket, he put his heart and soul into that role, and no one will ever see it. So I'm going for James Gunn. He said, when I turned in my first draft, they were really happy with the screenplay, which of course I was overjoyed by. The only comment they had, which was basically from Joss Whedon, was that they wanted it to be more James Gunn. And so that's what I did. I said, it's your funeral, and I made it a lot more James Gunn. And I do think, you know, having watched his back catalogue of films, that the fun, the weird, the stuff that makes Guardian special is coming from his brain. So
agreed, and it's so good that he's going to be coming back for Volume 3. It was a very scary time.
Yeah.
when he was the outcast.
And DC's lucky, I think.
Best scene, Chris.
I'm going to pick Baby Groot dancing at the end because I remember, you know, the first time seeing that in a cinema with an audience, and it brought the house down, and it sends you out of the cinema so happy. So that's my scene.
I'm really pleased James Gunn says it was a cheat using I Want You Back.
Yes.
Because it is. And you watch it, and anyone watching it is going to go, well, it's cheating because it's that song. But good. I'm glad he knows that.